Hi friends, it's Mary from Mom Behind the Computer, and I wanted to stop by today and give you a review of my new Logitech Create keyboard for the iPad Pro. I do have the iPad Pro, and I believe it's the 9.7 inch, which I do not think is being made any longer. However, you can still purchase the Logitech Create keyboard for other iPad Pro models, and if you are out there looking for something for your 9.7 inch, you may still have a chance to go ahead and purchase a Logitech keyboard before they are completely out of stock. So I wanted to go ahead and share my review in case you are looking for a keyboard for your iPad Pro as well. I debated for a long time before purchasing this keyboard if I really needed it for my iPad Pro. The truth is, I probably didn't need it. I have an iPhone, I have an iPad, and I have a MacBook. So the chances that I'm going to be typing a lot on my iPad Pro are probably not that large. However, I did want to use it for some of the journaling and planning that I do. I wanted to give it a try, and I also thought that if we went on a short trip where I only had to answer emails for my virtual assistant job, sometimes this happens if I'm only gone for like one night, the iPad Pro would probably be a lot easier to transport than my MacBook Pro, and I honestly don't feel comfortable traveling with my iPad Pro all that often. It also took me a long time to figure out which keyboard I wanted to get. I seriously considered the Apple Smart Keyboard because I love its sleek look and how it folds so nicely. It's so small. I really enjoyed that about it. However, it doesn't have a lot of the basic function keys that this keyboard has, and I would also have to buy a back to the case. And while I could get some really cute backs, that was like another, I mean, most of them were running around $20 for just the back case. And then I had to estimate to spend about $100 on the keyboard. So I just wasn't sure about spending all of that extra money. And honestly, the decision fatigue of figuring out which back case I wanted for it didn't sound appealing. I also considered for a while using a Bluetooth keyboard or the Apple Magic Keyboard. I love that these could be used with other devices. However, I didn't really love the idea of having to charge it. And several of them said that they would last 6 months, a year with the charge that they used. But the idea of just having another device that I had to think of, do I need to charge it, do I not, that sort of thing, I just didn't want that on my mind, not for something like this. Surprisingly, the market for a smart connector, which is a connector that connects to those 3 little dots on the side of your iPad Pro, the smart connector allows you to instantly use your keyboard with no pairing and also not need to charge your keyboard. The options for cases with a smart connector keyboard are extremely slim. You either have the Apple Smart Keyboard or you have the Logitech Create Keyboard. Those are the only two that I've been able to find so far in the market, especially for the 9.7 inch. I don't think that there are any others out there. However, if you do know of one, please leave it in the comments below in case someone else is interested. So I didn't really have much of a choice once I decided on a smart connector. Once I decided I didn't want the Apple Smart Keyboard, I decided to go ahead and go with the Logitech Create and give it a try. I had looked online and was very close to just purchasing it online, and then one day we were out and I asked the hubby if we could stop by Best Buy so that I could see if they had any of these models on display. I had heard that the Logitech Create was quite heavy and I wasn't sure that I wanted the bulk on the iPad. So I did go in, and thankfully they did have one of the Logitech Creates still in stock. They did not have the Apple Smart Keyboard, although I had tried that before, so I kind of knew what to expect. And you could also try it on a larger iPad, which they had, but they did have the Logitech Create in my size for my iPad, and so I was able to try it. I was able to actually like see what it configured as, see how it folded back on itself, and see how heavy it was. And to me, it wasn't any heavier than the case I had on it before, that had a back and all of that. It seemed very similar in heft to it. And I also found out that it could fold all the way back for writing on it. It doesn't do it as flat as I would like, but it does a good job. So I was sold, and thankfully Best Buy did do price matching online, so I was able to get it without having to wait for it to ship. So here is a look at what the case looks like completely closed. It does have the volume keys here on the bottom. It does have a power button here at the top. It has parts for all the ports. and all of the speakers, so no issues there. It does feel like a pretty sturdy one. Of course, it doesn't have a clasp to close it. It's magnetic here, so if you did drop it, it could pop open. Consider my cases more for protection in my bag, or maybe just a slight drop. I don't consider them for like a full-on drop, so I hope that that never happens, although I do think that this would offer a bit of a protection piece if it did happen. Once you open it up completely, you see there is a spot for the Apple Pencil. This was also a huge selling point. If I had bought the Apple Smart Keyboard, I would have had to buy a pencil clip for it, because that is not a part of it, which I think is kind of crazy. And I always want to have my Apple Pencil with my iPad Pro. That is the ideal function. Like, forget the keyboard. I want those two together. So it's nice to have that sort of hidden in there, and that I can have that with me at any time. Here is the smart connector. I don't know if you can see that. So it just sort of magnetically connects here, and it does stand pretty well on its own. I have used it on my lap before. It's not as good as like a laptop, but it works pretty well. It's only a little bit flimsy. I've been very impressed with it so far. The keyboard functions pretty well as a full keyboard. It is backlit. I think you can see that, which I think is great. A lot of times I will be working while my hubby is sleeping if I get up early or go to bed late. So I really enjoy the backlit functions, which is another thing that the Apple Smart Keyboard does not do. You can control the brightness of the keyboard here as well, so if you don't like that function, you can just turn it all the way down. Here are the function keys, if you can see those. I love that you can adjust the brightness of the iPad and that you can adjust the volume on those keys as well. I haven't had any issues typing on the keyboard. It is a bit of an adjustment from the MacBook keyboard. It's a little bit more cramped, I guess. But overall, I've been very impressed with it. It beats the heck out of the iPad keyboard in my book. And it works instantly once you get it on there. There's no pairing or anything like that, which is great. It also has a nice keyboard button down here, so if your keyboard shows up on your screen, which I was really confused about at first, and it did come up at first, but it seems like I'm almost training it that when I'm in certain apps, if I just keep pressing that button, eventually it's kind of learning that not to do that anymore. Overall, I am very happy with my choice in the Logitech Create Keyboard. I don't love the aesthetics of it. I'll say that. I did like how pretty my last iPad Pro case was. I would love if there was some sort of function where you could at least even put stickers or something on it. I'd love to be able to like put a picture or something in here. This is almost like a fabric, which does feel nice. It feels very like businessy, professional, which I assume is the goal, which is great. As a stay-at-home mom, a work-at-home mom, I want something pretty, and this to me isn't pretty, but that's okay. The functionality is there, which is ideally what I wanted, and the functionality does work really well. I am so happy that I decided to go with the smart connector so that I don't have to do Bluetooth pairing and that I also don't have to charge it. That is really nice. The case fits really well. The keyboard works really well, and it is nice to have a keyboard to sometimes use this almost as like a laptop replacement if I want to. Unless you are someone who works as your iPad Pro as your laptop replacement all of the time, or maybe a student who is taking notes in class every day, I'm not sure that this is really an essential piece to your iPad Pro. But it is a nice accessory to have if it is something that interests you and if it's something that you think you will use. I'll have a link in the description box below to the Logitech Create Keyboard on Amazon if you would like to check it out. If you are interested in more tech tips and reviews, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. I will have more videos like this in the future. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day. Bye-bye.